on this episode of MythBusters.
I'm gonna have to warn my mom before she watches this episode.
Adam and Jamie face off in an epic battle of fire
That is insane!
and ice. They want to test the viral video claim that a fire extinguisher can protect you from a flamethrower.
I lived! Holy
Then, in the desert,
this is so cool!
Cary Grant and Tori go high-tech
Okay, helicopters in position and ready for the test.
to take on a myth from the movie Body of Lies.
Okay, I'm getting ready to get kidnapped.
Using a car-induced dust cloud, can you really cloak your movements from a high-altitude spy drone? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage.
It's scientific!
And Jamie Heineman.
Fun for the whole family.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Carrie Byron,
I was less excited after my first kiss.
Tori Belleci,
Why are we doing this?
and Grant Imahara.
Who wants some?
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
What's on the docket?
Something you and I know quite well, the meeting of opposites.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Okay, fire versus ice. It's a viral video that's been going around where two hillbillies pull up into the middle of nowhere and face off, one armed with a flamethrower, the other armed with a fire extinguisher. They both fire their devices, and fire and ice meet in the middle, and apparently, according to the clip, cancel each other out.
Dibs on the flamethrower.
And don't want to hear any more about the story?
No.
All right then, roll the clip.
What do you get when you cross an internet viral video and an elemental duel? An epic clash of fire and ice. But can you actually beat back a flamethrower attack with a plume of CO2 from a fire extinguisher? The team want to know if these striking images are film fakery or fiery fact.
So where do you want to begin?
Well, let's say we set up a small scale as a proof of concept. I mean, I can throw together a little flamethrower in a few minutes. But as I'm thinking about it, you know, they show a normal CO2 fire extinguisher in that clip, and I'm not so sure they fire that far.
Well, it's easy enough to figure out. We've got one downstairs. I could just throw up a gauge and see how far it propels.
Okay.
So before the guys throw down some small-scale flames,
Well, let's scale it up.
they're going to check that a standard 15-pound fire extinguisher, like the one in the clip, can even go the required distance.
So 25 times 6 is 150, 60 feet between these guys, which means each of these things has to shoot 30 feet in order to meet at the middle, at least.
Yeah, at least.
That's the mark to match. But first, here's Professor Savage for Firefighting 101.
You should understand, there's nothing special about these. These are your standard issue, run-of-the-mill, what we'd call 15-pound CO2 fire extinguishers. CO2 means carbon dioxide, and that's what these are filled with, CO2 in a liquid form. And when you pull the pin and squeeze the lever, that CO2 comes out of a nozzle at the bottom of this cone, and it flashes to a gas. That CO2 gas comes out in a big smoky billow, creating a non-oxygenated environment where fire can't burn. The question we're concerned with is, will it actually fire out 30 feet? Honestly, I don't think so, but that's why we're doing this test. 3, 2, 1. I think that was pretty far.
Yep, as it turns out, it's exceeded Adam's less than great expectations.
Oh, dude.
The target to get this myth over the first hurdle was around 30 feet. And after studying the high-speed footage, Adam's happy.
I'd say that the unmodified fire extinguisher fired its gaseous billow 25 feet, which is shockingly close to the clip. I think it's time to put it up against Jamie's impromptu flamethrower.
Impromptu and top secret.
Even though we tell people not to do what we do at home, when it comes to homemade flamethrowers, I'm just not going to show you how to do it.
With the curtain closed on the flamethrower puppet show, it's on to a proof of concept test, and they won't be shooting it in the shop.
Obviously, we can't be squirting lit gasoline around inside M5, so we've come to the San Francisco Fire Department Treasure Island Training Facility.
I am ready to do battle with the Heinemann.
And we're going to do it here.
But do what exactly?
The whole point of this exercise is to see if my fire extinguisher can have any appreciable effect on Jamie's flamethrower.
And to do it, he'll be wearing the full fireproof suit, or what he likes to call his dancing suit. Fun and games aside, the team is taking its safety seriously.
We're not all alone in this endeavor. Nope. We've got a couple of members of San Francisco's fire department standing by to keep us safe, or at least to put us out. Remember, the difference between you and us is we call the fire department first. How do you want to do this thing?
Well, for safety's sake, why don't I stay put with my stream of fire and you kind of walk into it with the extinguisher?
I like that better than the alternative. Let's do it.
Okay.
So in small scale, Adam and Jamie are looking to explore the concept of the myth.
All right, fire extinguisher versus flamethrower, small scale.
Is it possible
I'm ready.
that a standard workplace CO2 fire extinguisher, like the one in the viral video,
Let's light her up.
can snuff out an airborne jet of flaming gasoline? Next up, Tori, Grant, and Carrie kick up a dust storm for a kidnapping.
All right, guys, what do we got?
This one involves fast cars, dust storms, and spy drones.
Are we testing the myth from the movie Body of Lies?
Yes. Now, this is the one where Leonardo DiCaprio is getting kidnapped, but he's being monitored by a spy drone. Now, to fool the drone, his kidnappers show up in their cars, drive in a circle, create a dust storm, effectively blinding it.
Ooh, this is gonna be awesome to test.
It's a classic scene from the silver screen. In the movie Body of Lies, a band of highly organized SUV-driving bad guys kidnap our hero by cleverly cloaking their movements from a high-altitude spy drone with a dust cloud. But can a manufactured by motor dust storm really blind state-of-the-art military technology?
You know, my gut feeling is this could possibly work. I mean, have you ever driven on a dusty road behind somebody? The car in front of you disappears.
Yeah, but that's when you're enveloped in dust. This myth is about someone observing from above the dust cloud.
I think the good news is we don't need a spy drone. I think we could get the same kind of camera and mount it to something else in the air, like a helicopter.
All right, well, sounds like all we need now is a dusty location, some SUVs, and a target to kidnap.
Well, one more thing, you're totally blind when you're driving in a dust storm, so maybe we need to come up with some sort of system for driving in a circle without actually being able to see.
Yeah, I guess driving blind could be disastrous.
Correct. By the time the team takes this test to the desert, they'll require military-like precision and planning to safely carry out the dangerous driving. So, before that, a brainstorm to create a safe sandstorm.
Here's some of the challenges I see. We are going to be driving in a circle with 4 cars at speed with basically 0 visibility. So we're gonna need something to guide us. And I was thinking maybe like rumble strips or some of these lights to keep us safe.
What if we had a ring of cone? All right, and you have like a stick on your car that as you drive along, you know that you're staying on your course in that circle.
Why don't we go out to the EVOT course and try out some of these methods?
So it's a trip to the Emergency Vehicle Operations course,
Let's have some fun!
where Grant and Tori will test the safety precautions necessary to pull off the semi-blind driving the myth requires. It's going to require laser-sharp concentration.
Sorry. Oh, no.
Grant didn't get the laser-sharp concentration memo.
We haven't even started, and it's a lot more dangerous than we thought. I don't know if Grant should be one of the drivers. Maybe he should be the guy that gets kidnapped.
With that little snafu out of the way, the team gets down to work.
Now, essentially what we're doing is creating a dust storm, which means limited visibility. And since we don't want to crash into each other, we're instituting a number of safety procedures. Every car will be outfitted with a strobe light. It's got a portable rumble strip in the form of this chain. We'll lay this out along the perimeter, and that will tell us when we're on path.
And we're gonna take these delineators and create a giant circle that the cars can follow. And we're gonna have a slapstick on the front of the car, so when the car passes by, it hits it, letting the driver know that he's still on track. It's kind of like a giant wheel of fortune. And because we don't have our own dust storm, we're gonna create our own dust storm with this opaque paper.
Ready for a dust storm?
Bye-bye. What could possibly go wrong?
With the paper supposedly simulating the visibility of a dust storm,
I'm ready.
and one fender bender already under their belt, the team starts slow and careful.
All right, let's start at 5 miles an hour and move up to 10 miles an hour. In 3, 2, 1, drive.
With just 2 drivers and not the full set of 4, the question is, can they drive nearly blind
Stop, Cranky.
and in a tight circle safely?
You're way off course, now stop.
The answer would appear to be no. No, they can't.
Where the hell am I?
This viral video suggests that if a mean-looking dude is going to fire a flamethrower at you, you can hold back the flames with a fire extinguisher. Apparently, the cloud of CO2 will balance out the burning gasoline by meeting it in the middle.
I'm ready.
First up, though,
Okay, bring it in.
Adam and Jamie want to know how it'll go with a more modest-sized flamethrower.
Yeah, that worked.
It certainly put out Jamie's fire, but it wasn't an unqualified success.
It seems my effective distance is really about this distance, not like a full 20 feet.
Yeah, that's interesting. It seems that there has to be absolutely complete coverage of the CO2 or it's going to continue to burn.
Something the thermal imaging camera backs up. The cold jet of CO2 only becomes truly effective at close range. That's a problem, because the myth would have us believe it can hold back a full-sized flamethrower 25 feet away. And a close look at the high speed confirms the poor result in terms of distance.
Okay, I'm definitely pushing the flame back, and here at just under 10 feet, I think I'm about to put it, there it is, I
There
put
it
it
is.
out.
But you had to almost be covering me with the CO2 for it to go out. And in the clip,
They're 60 feet apart, so I absolutely need to beef that thing up.
the main thing I learned from this test is that even with our small-scale flame, a relatively anemic flame, Adam had to be pretty much right on it with the fire extinguisher for him to be able to put it out.
That worked.
Yep, based on the results so far, the team believes the standard extinguisher used in the clip will have no chance. And if that's the case, in the main test, Adam wants a backup to ramp it up. So he'll be making a second extinguisher with extensive modifications and using the force.
Here's what's happening. I clearly need more power.
I'm gonna start this experiment process by measuring the 15-pound fire extinguisher using my pressure swingometer. And I'm going to be comparing that against all my subsequent measurements from all the modifications that I'm gonna make. It might seem that what's happening here is a meeting of opposites, the fire and the thing that puts out the fire. But in fact, it's actually just about force. The fire is pushing forward with a force, and I need to meet that with an equal and opposite force. I don't need a white, billowy cloud going to 25 feet. I need to push the fire back from 25 feet. So I'm gonna start by increasing the size of my extinguisher. I'm gonna go from 15 pounds to 50 pounds. Then, with a few modifications, we'll see if I can get that pressure wave extending out almost 25 feet. Go.
While Adam looks to beef up his blast, Jamie invites his inner pyromaniac to the party by making a military-grade flamethrower.
My task now is to make an honest-to-goodness flamethrower. That's going to be the manifold, and given that we're using high pressures, flammable fluids, and they're lit, I need to make sure that whatever I'm using is really sturdy. With that in mind, I'm going to use these air tanks. They're made for thousands of PSI, so given that we're only going to be putting hundreds of PSI in them, I figure they'll be plenty safe for us to use.
The air tanks will contain the fuel. But as for the details on the rest, well, we can't show you that.
Seriously, this thing right here is in a league of its own. It's 100% illegal. We were able to do it only under the direct supervision of a number of different governmental agencies, and let me tell you, it was an ordeal. So, don't even think about it.
Which gives you an idea of what Adam is up against. And after toying with a variety of nozzles, outlets, and tubing, he decides H2O is the way to go in order to tackle Jamie's supersized sizzler.
Try it out. Next, I'm going to try and add more material to the CO2 stream to try and get more force. I want to push back this fire, and that's where this comes in. It's a pressurized container full of water that I'm going to feed through this tube into a nozzle on the side of this nozzle. Looks very much like this. Water comes in here, CO2 comes out here. Hopefully, what ends up coming out of the business end of this cone has a lot more force behind it. Wow! That was great!
Adam wanted more force, and he's got it. Mixing the stream of water to the super cold CO2 results in a cloud of fire-quenching ice crystals. And the additional mass of the water adds that much more force to the equation.
Whoa! Wow! Woohoo!
I've got my flamethrower. Adam has his beefed up fire extinguisher. I guess there's nothing to do now but take them out, put them head to head, and see what happens.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are taking on a Hollywood tall tale of international espionage. Can you really use a car-induced dust storm to fool the aerial eye of a spy drone? And to safely recreate the dangerous driving required in the myth,
Sorry.
the team is going to need a lot of practice.
Stop, Granky.
A lot of practice.
I mean, we're just driving in circles. How hard can it be?
Very hard is the answer.
You're way off course, now stop.
But after a tough, frustrating day of testing and tweaking their guidance systems, they realize the real issue has been right in front of their eyes all along.
I can't see bugger all. So basically, we misjudged the transparency of our paper. We were trying to get around 10 to 15% visibility, but we ended up with basically zero visibility. Right now, we can't see anything. So we're gonna have to come back tomorrow and come up with a better solution to simulate a sandstorm.
Yep, what's required is a new day, a new location, and a plan named after the second letter of the alphabet.
And this is Plan B. We'll put this burlap on our windshields, and this should give us about 10% visibility, that of a dust storm.
Look at that, instant dust storm. I can't see anything, man. It's so thick. I can't breathe. Too much dust.
Confident in their new solution, the team has stripped back their safety systems to the bare minimum and upped the ante by matching the myth's 4 cars. So, with Grant coordinating communications,
3, 2, 1, go.
and Tori, Carrie, and 2 myth turns behind the wheel, it looks like they've nailed the visibility issue.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Because although they can just barely see, the view, just like in a dust storm, is severely limited, and it's only their safety systems that are keeping them on track.
This is insane.
And that means they can go to work,
Everybody good to speed up a little?
practicing their 4-car dust-making dance.
This is working! Let's take it to the desert!
Adam and Jamie are about to turn up the heat,
Nice day for a flamethrower.
armed and extremely dangerous.
It's my own personal kick-ass version of a military flamethrower.
They've arrived at exactly the right location.
The first rule of firing a flamethrower in the state of California is that you pretty much can't do it. But if somehow you get permission to do it, like we have, you need to do it in a place where you're not going to set anything on fire. And that's what brings us here to the Yolo County Bomb Range in Northern California. Acres of barren landscape where we can fire our flamethrower to our heart's content, or at least to the fire marshal's content.
The plan to make sure there are no snafus like putting out a burning Heinemann is more tortoise than hare.
This is the first time Jamie's getting this rig up and running, and there are actually several stages to go through before we actually fire it for the experiment. It's so dangerous. First, we've got to do a water test just to make sure all the plumbing works correctly. Then, he's going to fill it with gasoline and do an actual functional test to make sure it operates and it doesn't set him on fire. It only sets the things he's pointing at on fire. Then we're going to safety test my protective shield, and then we're going to finally get to the actual experiment. This thing is a very scary device.
The danger lies in the risky combination of flammable liquids and high pressure. And here's how it works.
I've got 2 tanks full of fuel. I've got a 3rd tank full of inert gas at high pressure that I'll use to pressurize the fuel tanks, such that when I pull on this lever, all of that fuel will empty out the end of this gun and burn in about 4 seconds.
But first, it has to pass the water pressure test.
Okay, both valves are open.
And with no water escaping anywhere it shouldn't, the guys are ready.
Here we go. This thing is scary, even filled with water. Opening this valve. You are fully pressurized, sir.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Perfect. The water jet arcs out to a myth-accurate 60-plus feet. And that means
I think it's time to fill it with gasoline.
Let's do it.
cue pyrotechnician extraordinaire, J.D. Street, the man tasked with overseeing the safe use of an extremely dangerous piece of equipment.
Tight enough?
Yep.
And with the tanks now filled with gasoline,
Secondary valve opening up.
Adam and Jamie
Safety's off.
get set for the first live lit test.
You're open.
The gun is hot, the pressure on. It's time to let rip.
First flame test in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wow! Dude!
That worked.
That worked! Wow, that was spooky as hell. Jamie just test fired our home-built flamethrower, and it worked fantastically. I think that might be the scariest thing that has ever been built on this show.
It's right up there.
It looked to spray a wand of hot death between 60 and 80 feet, which is exactly where we wanted it to be. Oh!
The stream of burning gasoline successfully matches the mythical clip for distance and volume. But for the test itself, Adam will have to stand in the line of fire. Literally. To do that, he's going to use a safe house. And here's one he prepared earlier.
Right here. Before we actually conduct the full-size experiment, we need to make sure that my shield here will actually do its job. I need to be able to stand in the path of this flamethrower and not get burnt. You ready?
I'm ready.
So, Jamie's going to point it right at this thing while there's no one behind it and fire it. And only if we determine that it will safely keep me from getting burnt are we going to use it.
Glass house flame test in 3, 2, 1.
That looked like it might keep me safe.
It looked good.
It did? From here, it looked terrifying. And after a look at the footage, sanity prevails. More protection is required.
You know what they say about people who live in glass houses? You shouldn't people who own flamethrowers. The fact is that after some camera analysis and discussion with J.D. Street, we don't feel comfortable with me being behind this glass shield as it currently is configured. So we're going to add some sides to it. Specifically, sides made out of 3/4-inch plywood.
All right, glass house flame test. 3, 2, 1.
Wow! Oh! Yeah! All right, I'm gonna put the house on.
That worked. And with a small hole to poke his extinguisher nozzle out of, it'll be ready to go.
Well, the device is working perfectly. The flame looks exactly like it does in the clip that we're trying to replicate. And the glass house seems to be holding up just fine, so I think Adam's going to be safe.
I think that worked beautifully.
Now all we got to do is wait for it to get dark.
Jamie's not lying, because to match the mythical clip and face off with fire and ice, they need an atmospheric nighttime backdrop. Unmanned military spy drones are state-of-the-art eyes in the sky. But is it possible to obscure nefarious ground-level activities from their cameras with a dust cloud? To find out, the team has decapped to a dramatic and cinematic deserted desert location.
This is beautiful.
And at first light, it's time for action.
We've come out to the Black Rock Desert in Nevada so that we can test our body of lies myth. Now that's that you can hide from a drone in a dust storm. This should be the perfect location because it's entirely gypsum dust.
So here's the setup. We're gonna create a giant ring out here in the desert similar to our practice run.
All right, let's set it up.
Drive around in a circle to create our dust storm.
Carrie is going to be our target. We're going to be driving around her and creating as much dust as we can. When we get enough dust, we're going to put her into one of the SUVs, and then all of them are going to go in different directions.
And I will spot from the helicopter and try and guess which of the cars the target is in.
My feeling is, if we create enough dust, he's not going to be able to tell. The circle is complete.
So the first order of business for Tori and his team of drivers is a practice run to find out if the dust-making conditions are the same as in the movie.
Let's see if we can kick up some dust.
The drivers start off slow, using their high-visibility cones to stay on track. They build up speed.
You can't tell, but I'm smiling right now.
And the result, down here at ground level at least, is impressive.
I think it's going to work.
The thick dust hanging in the air makes for tough driving conditions.
Holy crap, look at how hard it is to see.
And it looks just like the mythical movie scene. But the true test will come once Grant gets an aerial perspective.
So we are not using a spy drone in this myth. We're using a helicopter. But we've got the same type of camera, the same lens, and we're going to set up the same framing for judging this dust cloud. It's as close as you can get to flying a spy drone without actually flying a spy drone out of a military base.
All right, I'm ready to be the kidnapped target in this dust storm. Now, unlike the movie, I'm actually going to be in this car here. This is for my protection because, let's face it, 4 cars going around in circles in a practically blind dust storm just doesn't seem like a good place to be standing around.
And that means it's go time. Grant Eye in the Sky Imahara establishes a high-altitude vantage point.
Okay, we are in position and ready to begin the test.
Just like the movie, lead driver Tori and his 3 accomplices surround kidnapping target Carrie.
We're starting test 1 for our body of lies target acquisition.
And increase the speed of their circling, attempting to mask their actions from Grant with a dust cloud. Will it work?
We're starting to get a really good dust cloud.
From the ground, it looks good.
This is working really well.
And as the dust cloud rises, from the drone camera's point of view, it also looks promising.
They're doing a pretty good job of getting the dust going.
When the team on the ground decide the dust cloud thickness is at its apex, they decide to go for it.
Okay, I'm getting ready to get kidnapped.
With swift military-like precision, one of the cars pulls out of the circle and alongside Carrie.
Here we go.
All right, we got her.
From the ground, as she jumps in, the scene is pretty much obscured. And then, just like the movie, the 4 cars speed off to all points of the compass. But was it a success? Was Grant and his high-tech drone camera fooled?
All right, did you see me?
It's hot versus cold. at 60 feet, or as they used to refer to it when Jamie was dueling a lot in the olden days, 10 paces. I will be armed with a 15-pound standard issue cone-tipped fire extinguisher.
And I've got 4 gallons of high-pressure gasoline that's going to give me a good 60 feet.
And if the clip is real, my white CO2 plume of smoke ought to meet his fireball somewhere in the middle.
The myth suggests a standard 15-pound fire extinguisher can stop an attack from a flamethrower by meeting it in midair 25 feet away and effectively putting it out. However, as the less than spectacular performance against Jamie's small-scale flamethrower proved, it's unlikely Adam is going to successfully beat back the burn.
This is going to be scary.
But for due diligence, they have to first test the exact circumstances of the myth.
I'm sure enough CO2 will in fact put out this fire extinguisher, but the question is how much is that? And my impression is that a normal fire extinguisher, which is what Adam is using, is going to get pushed around pretty aggressively with the flame that's coming out of this thing.
There's this funny thing about flamethrowers. You're not supposed to place yourself in their path, so we've taken every precaution.
Okay, everyone set? We're going hot?
This little house of mine is made of fireproof glass, fireproof silicone, steel, wooden sides that'll keep the fire from wrapping around and enveloping me.
This is for picture.
I'm also wearing a full proximity suit with a hood.
On my command of go. Ready.
All of this should keep me perfectly safe.
Well, we're about to find out. But just in case, Adam's mom, please look away now.
2, 1, go!
I lived! Holy that was awesome! I don't think my fire extinguisher did very much, but that was awesome!
Yep, that was a little too much fire for Adam's little extinguisher.
Tonight, this is something else. 3, 2, 1, and then hellfire. You just pull the trigger and wait for it to run out. It seemed to me like I was pretty much bathing Adam in his little house in fire.
On the count of 3, I just started spraying my fire extinguisher where I could see Jamie last was, but I don't think my extinguisher did very much because for most of that test, all I could see was fire enveloping my entire little house. And I was totally protected. It worked just like we planned.
The safety precautions worked. Adam successfully survived 5 terrifying seconds inside a giant fireball. But as for an actual result, it's over to the high-speed footage.
I'm not having any effect on you whatsoever.
Oh my
Completely
goodness.
enveloped in a fireball there.
It's like a mountain of fire
That's
rolling
insane.
towards you.
That is insane. I'm gonna have to warn my mom before she watches this episode. She's gonna think I died in there.
Rest assured, Adam's mom, he survived, unlike the myth, because Adam's standard 15-pound fire extinguisher didn't stand a chance.
So the clip is pretty much busted, but remember, I suspected that it might not work, which is why I built this bad boy. It's got a 1,500 PSI high-capacity ball valve water infeed to get the most amount of pressure and volume out of the CO2 cloud as I possibly can. I'm ready, Heinemann! In tests in the shop, I was able to have a significant amount of back pressure at 25 feet. That really ought to allow me to push Jamie's fireball back where it belongs, away from my little house here.
Meeting Jamie's flame in the middle may be a tough ask.
I'm ready.
But can Adam's modified monster
I'm ready!
even improve his chances of survival?
3, 2, 1.
This is so cool. We have our own helicopter. We got these vehicles. We're We're tearing up and down the desert, creating dust clouds, trying to hide Carrie from the cameras in the sky. I mean, I feel like a big kid playing in a sandbox with all his toys.
But with the dust settling on test 1, did Tori and his toys manage to kidnap Carrie successfully?
All right, did you see me?
Did Grant spot which vehicle Carrie was smuggled into?
It's the car that went toward our camp.
Oh, you got me!
Grant had it covered. In the key area, the center of the circle above Carrie, the dust cloud just wasn't thick enough to deceive the pin-sharp resolution of the military-grade camera. Which is bad news for the myth, but the team isn't done and dusted just yet.
Now, if you look at the amount of dust that's being created by these SUVs, it looks like a lot, but from the air, it's a totally different story. It looks like a ring of dust, and in the middle is Carrie's car, which is still perfectly visible. So if Tori and Carrie are gonna get away with this kidnap, they're gonna have to come up with a different technique.
All right, when we're making those donuts, Grant's having no problem seeing us.
Yeah, we're not kicking up the dust that we see in the movie. But one thing I have been noticing is when we're flying across the desert at high speeds, we're kicking up so much dust. So maybe we set up the cars and we just fly by them at high speed, and hopefully we create a dust cloud thick enough that we hide you from Grant.
When you actually fly by, I can't even see the sky. I think that might work.
All right, let's try it.
With the donut technique busted, Tori and Carrie have another plan they hope will put this myth back on the straight and narrow. A plan based on the theory that a high-speed flyby creates more dust than circling the target at moderate speeds.
Okay, helicopter is in position and ready for the test.
This is the new dust cloud plan. We have our target car, which I will be waiting in. We're going to have 2 kidnapped vehicles pull alongside of it.
Here come the 2 kidnappers.
Then we have Tori and another dust maker car zooming by as fast as they can, creating a huge dust cloud.
Here comes the dust cloud makers.
1 dust car, 2 dust cars. Then Grant has to guess what vehicle I am in.
And what do you know?
I can't see anything. I cannot see anything.
By driving past upwind at high speed, a thick cloud of dust perfectly obscures the scene of the kidnapping crime.
Okay, they're all driving off. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And Grant doesn't have a clue which car Carrie is in.
We did it! Yeah!
Okay, so the dust cloud that we were able to create actually made a canopy so that Grant could not find me. I don't know why I'm so happy. I've just been successfully kidnapped. I mean, Grant's supposed to save me.
Dude, I thought that was totally gonna be busted, but it turns out you beat the video camera.
Yeah, we beat the video camera. You know, that's what they had in the movie. But we know that those drones also have thermal cameras.
Yeah, and they would have easily been able to switch over to the thermal camera and see the heat signature. I say we set this up again with the FLIR camera and see if we can hide the person with the dust cloud.
All right, I'm ready for another shot.
Let's see if we can fool you this time. Again.
Now, so far, the myth that you can hide from a spy drone's video camera by creating a dust cloud is kind of a mixed bag. See, on the one hand, if you use the ring method like they do in the movie, that doesn't work at all.
All right, did you see me?
It's the car that went toward our camp. But if you use the method that we came up with, which is the high-speed flyby, that does work and is able to visually obscure you from the camera. I can't see anything. I cannot see anything. But we're not done yet, because it turns out these spy drones are equipped with another type of technology. Forward-looking infrared cameras. These pick up heat signatures. They should have no problem picking out a warm body, even if it's obscured by a dust cloud. There's nowhere to hide now.
Grant's right to be confident. Unmanned drones are regularly used on search and rescue missions, and they're duly equipped with state-of-the-art camera technology, including thermal imaging, to find and locate human heat signatures. And that means to beat Grant,
Okay, helicopter is in position and ready to go.
Carrie and Tori will really have to get their spy on. Because on this test, Grant's using the full range of technology at his disposal.
And here come the dust makers. There's the cloud.
As before, the high-speed fly-by cloud obscures the regular video camera.
Get in there. Oh yeah, I see her. I got your number, Carrie.
But the heat signature from the scurrying bodies is as bright as, well, as bright as their body temperature.
You're in the car on the right.
There's no escaping the flare.
It was really a game changer. Whereas they were obscured visually with the dust, with the FLIR camera, I could see right through that. I could see like little white dots walking between vehicles. So that made it really easy to pick out where Carrie went. All right, you can run for the thermal imaging camera, but you can't hide.
Apparently. But you know what? I'm inspired. We fooled you with dust. I think we can actually cloak ourselves from that camera as well.
I think the challenge is on, and you're going down, sucker.
Let's see.
And to take down Spy Master Imahara, Team Kidnap heads back to the shop for a camouflage conversation.
So we need to find out if it's even possible to beat the infrared camera. So we're gonna send it up into the sky, just as if it was the drone, and see if we can come up with a technique to get by it undetected. Ooh, psychedelic.
Now, Carrie and Tori do have some info to go on. After all, they've previously been successful at beating an infrared motion camera with a glass screen. Using that knowledge, they've got a head start. But these are different circumstances.
All right, glass works, but
Look at that.
you would need a huge piece. It's just gonna be too heavy, too cumbersome, and too dangerous.
Yeah, it's far from practical. So they play with a few similar ideas before Carrie comes up with an even, cooler idea.
Oh my God. That makes a huge cloud above you. You can't see anything. The whole thing turns black.
But will a cold blast of CO2 work well enough to fool eagle-eyed Imahara's thermal camera? Well, let's find out. It's the final showdown.
Okay, we are good to go. Good to go in the helicopter.
The setup is the same as before.
Okay, kidnap vehicles, move in.
The kidnapped team is going to create a dust cloud to block the standard video camera.
Okay, here they go.
But this time, in addition, the team adds a little cool CO2 to the mix.
What the heck is that?
That is 2 clouds of thermal camera obscuring CO2.
I can't tell anything.
And Carrie is whisked away unseen by the bad guys.
That was pretty cool.
Now see, I thought I had them with the thermal imaging camera. When the CO2 goes off, it's like this blue and black cloud, and you can't see anything behind it.
But remember, the original method used in the myth, 4 cars circling the victim, didn't quite pan out as well as the MythBusters efforts.
So we busted this myth, but just the technique used in the Hollywood movie.
It's the car that went towards our camp.
We took those same elements, moving vehicles and a dusty desert,
Here comes the dust cloud makers.
and created a cloud so thick that we were able to obscure the high-tech cameras and kidnap Carrie.
But the most interesting part of this for me was actually we got to figure out how to get past the thermal camera.
I can't tell anything.
getting to go back to the shop and come up with our own method and have it be better than the movies, that was awesome.
Well, the technique used in the movie is busted, but you can beat a video camera with a dust cloud, and you can beat a thermal imaging camera with CO2.
So it's possible. I just think Hollywood needs to give us a call before they write their spy movies.
Hollywood, hear that?
Adam is about to face off against Jamie's supersized sizzler with his beefed-up extinguisher.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. 3, 2, 1, go! Stop.
Turns out Adam wasn't ready. He blew his nozzle off.
Well, that was unexpected. I went to go fire my fire extinguisher on the count of 0, and the nozzle just flew right off. Then I was watching flame come across towards me, and I noticed there was this nice round hole formerly occupied by my fire extinguisher. So I got the hell out of there.
Adam certainly exited in a hurry, but with his nozzle more firmly secured, he's ready to go again.
I'm hot.
I am ready.
Jamie, you ready?
I'm ready.
This is it. Even with a souped-up super extinguisher, can Adam hold off Jamie and survive?
3, 2, 1, go!
It's difficult to tell during the chaos, but for a moment, Adam's powerful blast of ice crystals does seem to push back the tide of flames.
Yeah! I think I got him!
Adam clearly thinks so, but to see for sure, it's over to the super slow-mo. This time, Adam is actually making an impression. He may not have matched the mythical clip and met the flames in the middle.
Oh, look at that!
Oh, that's beautiful.
But he's certainly holding them off and preventing them from engulfing the safe house.
It almost reached you.
Wow!
It wasn't exactly like it was in the clip.
No, oh man, look at that! I am totally beating back the fire. It's definitely not meeting in the middle, but I am successfully pushing back your flamethrower.
You're just sneaking through by a hair, but you're holding me off.
That is incredible. Woo! I feel really good. Jamie has spent literally weeks obsessed with this flamethrower, and I have run my fire extinguisher and its various iterations through like probably 20 to 30 separate tests in the shop. And it all came down to my 50-pounder actually pushing back Jamie's fireball.
The first try was no competition. That flame just completely enveloped the extinguisher, the house that it was inside, and everything. It was no contest. The second time was a little different. He actually held me off. How do you want to call it?
Unfortunately, we gotta say it's busted. I mean, the 15-pound fire extinguisher was absolutely no match at all for your flamethrower.
Even the heavy-duty one that you put together just barely held me off, but it didn't look anything like the clip.
Nah, this one's totally busted.
Yep.
Busted, but awesome.